Yo, yo, yo. You are now tuned in to a special presentation of the Q's and P's podcast.
Hey man, nobody wanted me to be on this path that I chose, that I'm on. And for me to even get here, I had to say yes to myself when everybody tried to tell me no. But I always knew what I was, and I always saw my talent, but school, that was never for me. The norm and fitting in and all that was never for me. Everyone saw something and somebody different, and they were afraid of what they didn't understand. But black sheep is still a sheep. Don't be startled by the color.
Yo, welcome back to the Q's and P's podcast. Be sure to like, comment, support the channel as we are trying to be on the road to 200 subscribers. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and let's get into the show. I'm your host, Max, and today we're talking about something that's not just relatable, but personal. And I want to start by asking, are you who you want to be, or who people expect you to be? So let's deep it. Let's take a second to think about that. Because we all wear that mask, not just to hide, but to survive. Not to be accepted, but to be liked. To avoid disappointing the people we love, some of us become the responsible one. Not because we wanted to, but because we had to grow up too fast. You know, some of us become even the peacemaker, not because we're naturally calm, but because conflict in our home made us uncomfortable. Some of us, we chase those degrees and titles and success not because it fulfills us, but because we were told it's the only way to be respected. It's the only way in this society will there ever be respect that's going to be put on our name. And somewhere along the way, we lose the original version of ourselves, the version who didn't ask for permission, who dreamed without shame, who wanted to explore, express, create, and even lived outside the box. But the world doesn't reward different. It tries to mold you. And not only does it try to mold you, but it tries to tame you. So again, I ask, are you who you want to be, or who they trained you to become? Because if you don't answer that now, one day you'll wake up and realize you've built a whole life that doesn't even feel like yours. It feels like you were just living perhaps other people's dream. Perhaps you were moving in a way that you only did for others, whether that be family, whether that be friends, whatever the case may be. You start to realize, did you do it all for yourself, or did you do it all for other people? And that's a kind of quiet sadness no one claps for. I feel like nobody talks about the pressure to perform, the roles we play, and the parts of ourselves we're scared to show. This is the episode for anyone who's ever felt misunderstood, or maybe boxed in, or even just plain lost. Right, so let's get into it. Picture this, you're a kid, and before you even know yourself, the world starts handing you labels. You're the smart one, you're the strong one, you're the one we depend on. You're the one that may or may not put the family on your back when it comes time to be successful, to be somebody in this society, in this day and age. And you wear those labels not because you chose them, but because you thought love and acceptance came with it. But fast forward, now you're grown, and those expectations feel heavier than ever. You've been performing a role for so long, you can't tell if it's you or the version people wanted you to be. So who are you when nobody's watching? And no, I'm not talking about the version of you that's on social media for the follows, the retweets, the likes, the praise, or the validation. I mean, you when the lights are off, you when the phone's down, when there's no one around to impress. Who shows up then? Because that's the real you. Are you a visionary behind the scenes, behind the scenes, are you a revolutionary? Are people unaware of the talents that you have that you don't present to them or show them outside those closed doors? That's the version that can't hide between the filters, the titles, the jokes, or performance. That's the version that has no script, no audience, just presence. So what do you feel in that silence? Do you feel peace? Do you feel shame? Do you feel loneliness? Do you even feel relief? You see, we spend so much of our lives performing, trying to be put together, trying to be successful, trying to be wanted, but how often do we actually feel seen by ourselves? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of us are committed to looking happy than actually being happy, more committed to looking healed than doing the work to become healed. We've built public personas with private pain, but that version of you behind closed doors deserves just as much love and attention and validation as the world sees. And since we're talking about expectations, let's talk about being the black sheep of the family. Now that role hits different. That's the one who didn't follow the script. That's the one who didn't chase a degree or work a safe job and didn't believe what everyone else believed. You didn't rebel. You chose yourself. You chose healing over habit. You chose peace over performance, and you chose purpose even if it meant walking alone. And that's not easy. You get judged and labeled as lost, treated like the disappointment when really you're the disruptor. But here's the truth. Being the black sheep isn't about turning your back on the family. It's about refusing to turn your back on yourself. So what part of your path would your family not understand? But deep down is exactly what you need. Because that's your real path. And honestly, the black sheep often becomes the blueprint, the one who breaks the cycle and builds a new legacy. Now, that version of you that you post on Instagram, you smile, you wear when your mental health is on life support, the I'm good, I'm just tired, blah, we've all told before. When people say, oh, how you doing? I'm good. The whole time you're not really good. We've been conditioned to show only the polished parts, success, hustle, and vibe. But what about the messy parts? The questions, the breakdowns, the fears. What's one part of yourself you've been hiding from the world? What would it look like to let that part breathe? I've had moments where I wanted to say, yo, I'm struggling. I feel lost. But I stayed quiet because I thought being real would make me look weak. But the truth is, being real is the strongest thing you can be. You ever walk into a room and feel like you can't bring your full self? That's a red flag. If being yourself feels unsafe, that's not your home. It's nothing more than a stage, and stages burn you out. Let me remind you of something. You are allowed to evolve. You don't owe anyone a static version of yourself. Sometimes we may stay stuck in identities we've outgrown because we're scared people won't love the updated version, but that version deserves love too. Take a moment, strip away the job title, the relationship status, the follower count, and ask yourself, what do I love? What do I need? And who am I becoming? And let that be your foundation. This week, I want you to take off one mask, be real with one conversation, and say what you actually feel. You try it and see how heavy that mask really was for you. And then come back to me. Let's talk about it. So here's the truth. You don't have to shrink yourself to be accepted. You don't have to perform to be valuable. You don't have to be who they want. You get to be you. So who is the you behind the mask? Who is the black sheep? And what would happen if you finally let the world meet them. So this is the Q's and P's podcast. I'm Max, and sometimes the pressure you feel, it ain't trying to break you. It's trying to build you.
I'm talking to these niggas on this beat, I feel like Max, so
I'm on my Q's and P's. My P's and Q's, I'm so on point, I'm choosing who to please.